It's hard to think back before the pandemic, but in 2020, we had a revolution in accessibility known as The Last of Us Part 2. It became a watershed moment, a cornerstone moment for pushing for more accessibility in the industry. But also what released that year was the game Ghost of Tsushima, literally within like a few months or not even a few weeks after Last of Us Part 2 came out. And at the time when I reviewed the game, it didn't have a lot of accessibility. But when the director's cut came out, they started adding more accessibility to make the game as accessible as it could with the resources that Sucker Punch had in order to be able to make the game as best as they could. So we saw Sucker Punch as a studio to look out for. So when Ghost of Yotei was announced, I had hopes that there would actually be more improvement in accessibility for this new sequel in the franchise. Sadly though, I think my hopes were kinda dashed. Let me explain. I'm Steve Saylor, I'm blind, and if you're wondering how I can play video games and what I can see when I play video games if I'm blind, take a look at the video here or link in the description down below. Also, while you're down there, click the like and subscribe buttons because I do videos on a regular weekly basis, or multiple videos talking about the latest gaming news, and I talk about previews and impressions of games that I'm currently playing, as well as reviews like this. So let's talk Ghost of Yotei. First off, I have to say, I think I actually like this better than I did Ghost of Tsushima. I tried to get into Ghost of Tsushima. I played probably about 15 to 20 hours of that game. And it's not to say that the game is not like great or it's terrible in any way. I think it's actually an amazing game. I think every time I try to jump in, I look at the open world map and I just like, it's just this more of this, and it just like I couldn't really fully get in, even though it is one of the greater franchises that PlayStation has. But when I got into Ghost of Yotei, I don't know whether it was I was just in the mood this year to play some more open world games. I jumped into Assassin's Creed Shadows. I even started playing Star Wars Outlaws again on the Nintendo Switch 2, and even playing Expedition 33 with a little bit of an open world, not a huge amount, but it's still kind of got that same vibe. I think I just started finally getting back into the groove of playing open world games, so I guess I was kind of ready for it when playing Ghost of Yotei, and I really enjoyed it. I'm still not done. I'm literally about 20-ish hours in, because I'm trying to be able to take my time with it. I'm not trying to be able to speed run the story. I'm enjoying going through the different areas of the map and doing the different bounties and finding different areas of the map and finding like just these random things that are just kind of everywhere throughout the map. It has a little bit more of like a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom kind of vibe when it comes to the exploration of the map within this game. And also, this game is gorgeous. Okay, now I know I'm maybe kind of biased because I've been playing this on a PS5 Pro, and they do actually have a quality setting that's specifically designed for the PS5 Pro that has all the ray tracing and the performance boost that you could be able to get either on any of the quality settings. But my God, this game just looks so freaking good. It's like, if you remember Ghost of Tsushima, when they had that open sort of like that when the credits started and you're riding through the fields of wheat and or grain or whatever, and it looks so dang cool. Sucker Punch decided, hey, people love that. Why don't we just do that throughout the whole game? Because there's so many times that you're riding on your horse and there's like a cinematic sort of camera that pans back and you get almost like this really wide screen shot of the world as you're racing through these vast plains and in forests and jungles, and you can see Mount Yotei in the background. Like, it is It is the most beautiful game that I think I probably have ever seen when it comes to its environment. It is so gorgeous. The quality is so good. Even when you're on the top of a mountain and you look down at the valley below, like you can see, oh, that's the homestead I was at, or that's the inn that I was just at like 5 minutes earlier. Like you could see all the places you've been in great detail. Gone, I think, are like the fog of rendering it, because it just like it goes on for miles, and it's just so amazingly beautiful. And if you don't have a PS5 Pro and you just have a regular PS5, I don't know what the quality of that will look like, but it is definitely take advantage of that PS5 Pro quality boost, whatever it's got. Because man, oh man, I was taking screenshots left and right. Also, kind of talking about sort of the enhancements of the PS5 Pro, and I hope this is the same for the PS5 as well. Load times are instant. I'm not talking like Spider-Man, you jump from, you fast travel from one subway at the bottom of Manhattan to the top of the subway, and like at the top of north of Manhattan, and it's like literally 2-3 seconds, and it's just you're just automatically like everything just loads like correctly. No, this is it's instant. Like you go to a place on the map and you basically hit triangle, and before the sound effect even finishes playing of when you hit the button, you're already there. You're there. There's no load times. There's no loading screens. There's no like little circle like go spinning as you're trying to. It is just like so instant. Like it makes fast travel so much easier and so much less time consuming as you would think in other games. So the performance of this game, by far, amazing. It's got some bugs, some graphical stuff here and there, but man, oh man, just those two things alone, worth it. Absolutely worth it. Now, as far as the story of the game goes, I like it. I really do. I think it has a similar story. If you played Assassin's Creed Shadows this year, it actually kind of does have a similar story as Naue in Shadows. It's got kind of it's a revenge story against a group called Yotei 6 that essentially you don't know the identities of, and so you're basically going on a revenge quest, just assassinating or taking out everyone from the Yotei 6. And that is a story that is pretty familiar if you played Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I had wondered whether or not Assassin's Creed Shadows was going to be was going to be better or worse than Ghost of Yotei, considering they were getting both of those games in the same year. And I will say, I think Ghost of Yotei did a little bit better as far as story. I'm really more engrossed in this story than I am with Assassin's Creed Shadows. But I will say this. Unfortunately, Assassin's Creed Shadows is the more accessible game. So let's talk about the accessibility of this. There is everything that is in the original Ghost of Tsushima and the director's cut is in this for accessibility. There is not much that is different, like as far as like new accessibility options that are in the settings. There are a few, but not a lot as you would hope for. There actually is a wind gust camera where basically you swipe up on the touchpad anytime you have a location or point of interest tracked within the map itself. That gust of wind will point the camera in that direction. So as long as you keep swiping up on the touchpad, your character will always be, or Atsu will always be riding or moving towards that target. Also, as well, if you're worried about knocking into like trees or in like things that are like rocks or what have you, most often actually you actually kind of will breeze through or like move your way through trees and other objects that are in your way, so you don't have to worry about knocking into a tree and getting yourself knocked off. I think the only time that it ever really blocks you is if there is any like a rock face or a group of trees that are grouped together that you can't sort of run through. That's the only time that it actually will block your path. And there's not necessarily a lot of navigational assistance around that for blind players, so it is a navigational assist, but not quite. Other accessibility options, they have a persistent center dot that you can adjust the size of, which is pretty nice. You can change the rapid button presses to more simplified, or even to have simplified button holds. You can also increase the combat glint, which is the light that pops up on the enemy whenever they're about to do a parryable attack or a non-parryable attack that you have to, like, basically a dodgeable attack. And they actually increased the glint size of that, which was really nice. And I really appreciated that because it made it a lot easier for me to be able to see. Unfortunately, though, pretty much everything else for accessibility is all the same from the director's cut. And now, like, and so if you're hoping for blind players to be able to play this, or deaf and hard hearing players, if you're looking for any new captions or any new additional subtitle options, unfortunately not a lot. It's pretty much the same across the board as the previous game. Now, I do have to talk about my issue with the game in regards to motor disability. As much as they try to be able to at least keep the same accessibility and even advance in some ways of accessibility, I think Sucker Punch almost takes a few steps back with accessibility, because there are a lot of motion controls and use of the touchpad for this game. If you have trouble trying to be able to use the touchpad on the DualSense or using the motion controls of the DualSense controller, unfortunately, you're kind of stuck, because there are certain mini games or things that you have to do that you have to use those controls for, at least initially. Afterwards, there are more optional than before, but there are going to be certain things that you can't progress forward in the story or in the game unless you do a paint mini game, where basically I'll show you here. You swipe around the touchpad, and it'll, using a dotted line, it will do the paint strokes on the screen. And it's pretty simple. It's not like you have to be super accurate. You just have to know how long to be able to hold down on the touchpad, just kind of swipe across in order to be able to kind of get the full brush stroke. But if you can't sort of use the touchpad at all, or use like a way to be able to kind of be precise with it, unfortunately, you're going to have trouble with this. Plus, also, there are at least several controls that are tied to the touchpad, including, like I said earlier, the guided wind camera. Also, as well, the motion controls. There are going to be times where you're going to have to move your controller up and down in order to be able to, say, for instance, cook anything on a campfire. You have to lower and raise the food or the fish or mushrooms in order to be able to actually be able to cook them properly. There is you have to light a campfire at certain points. There is a control that essentially you use the microphone that's on the DualSense, and you have to blow into it in order to be able to blow on the fire, in order to be able to make it grow. There is a setting to be able to turn that off and just use the R2 button, but I actually had difficulty trying to be able to get the rhythm of it. It's not to say there's a rhythm game, but there definitely is a bit of there's a trickiness to it that I found, and I don't know whether that's just the game or my DualSense Edge controller. At one point, I had to sort of change the travel time of the trigger in order for me to be able to even do the blowing on the fire in order to be able to make it grow. So, and there's a lot of other smaller examples of that you need to use the full everything of the controller in order for you to be able to play. Yes, there are sort of control options. You can't remap, but you can be able to set it where the control is vertical, or whether it's left or right, southpaw essentially. But there's not a heck of a lot there. So I think this is really going to be a struggle for motor disabled players. So, unfortunately, my conclusions with the game is that as much as I'm having fun playing it myself, there are times I definitely do struggle. I think I think there are times where It's good. Like I have to, the combat can be a little troubling, but you can adjust the combat difficulty to make it a little bit easier for you or less challenging, or make it even more challenging if you prefer. That's fine and that's great, but if you have any trouble trying to be able to play Ghost of Tsushima, you probably will have trouble playing this game. And as much as, again, I'm loving this, the story and the world and even the characters that I'm playing or interacting with, unfortunately, it's just not as accessible. I wish that Sucker Punch would have taken either some more additional accessibility help from Sony or from other PlayStation studios. It just seems that basically they just kind of stuck with what they had and tried a few new things, but they took several steps back because the design of some of the new mini games or new things that tried to make the controller, the gimmicks of the controller work, but they're not accessible by design. And that's when you go into it with that, you don't even include the ability to be able to adjust it or change it for accessibility purposes. You're taking 2 steps back, and unfortunately, I think Sucker Punch is taking 2 steps back as far as accessibility. So that is why, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this game a 2.5 out of 5 for accessibility. Anyway, let me know what you think about the game, or if you have any other questions that I didn't cover in this video. There is quite a lot that I try to be able to sort of put in, but there's some things I miss throughout my my playtime, but I'll try to answer as best I can in the comments. If you have any other questions or whatever, please leave them in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you like and subscribe this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.